We are back on BTN Live with a look at the Principal Financial Group edge to the game. Ohio State's defense this season, you see ranking first in the Big Ten in sacks, top 2 in rush yards per game allowed, and tackles for loss, giving up about 20 points per game. Of course, that number skewed a little bit by the 41 they gave up to the Michigan Wolverines in their regular season finale. Rick Pizzo and Gerry DiNardo now joined by a former member of the Ohio State defense on BTN Live. He is Super Bowl champion A.J. Hawk of the Green Bay Packers. First and foremost, A.J., thanks so much for the time. I know you guys have a game coming up this weekend, so we appreciate you taking a few minutes.
Hey, no problem. I love talking Buckeye football.
Well, I know you're very close to this program. You still live in Columbus in the off-season, and you told us before we started the interview you get a chance to watch each and every game throughout the year. What would you say about this defense that's been at times very good and at times very questionable, especially against the run?
Well, I mean, honestly, I really like how the defense is playing. You know, obviously giving up 41 to Michigan. You know, you don't want to see that happen. So I'm sure Coach Luke Fickell was on the guys pretty hard this week. But, you know, they always seem to find a way to make those plays when they really need it. And I heard you talking about the tackles for loss and sacks they've gotten this year, and they seem to really find a way to turn the momentum of games when it looks like it's not going too well for them defensively. They always stand up and make plays, and I think they're obviously led by Shazier in the middle. He's just all over the field, and he seems to always be in the backfield making plays. So I really enjoy watching those guys.
A.J., most people watch football games and they watch it through the eyes of the offense, whether it's the quarterback or just offensively in general. My guess is you take a little different position and watch defense closer. Let's go back to that Michigan game. What was the problem, as you see it, with the Ohio State defense against Michigan?
Well, I mean, obviously they were having a tough time getting off the field on third down a little bit, and I know going into the game, Michigan's their stats on third down were not good at all offensively, but I think just, you know, you have to find a way to stop the run first, and it sounds cliche to say that, but that's part of our issue up in Green Bay right now. We haven't found a way to stop the run and make a team one-dimensional. So Michigan did a good job, I think, of kind of controlling the ball and getting the ball downfield and just making plays when they need to. And yeah, I give a lot of credit to Gardner, the quarterback. He was battling whatever it was in that ankle injury all day and was just sliding in the pocket, making people miss and getting the ball downfield and really taking care of the ball as well. So I was really happy to see him come up with that interception on that two-point conversion try.
You know, you mentioned that in Green Bay you may have some of the same issues stopping the run. So as you study the defense, whether it's Ohio State's, whether it's Green Bay or any other defense that you've been part of, and a defense struggles stopping the run, what are usually some of the reasons that's happening?
Well, I mean, you know, you coached for a long time. I think you would probably agree that stopping the run, I always tell our media people up here, and I talk to our D linemen and safeties all the time about it, that there's no secret to stopping the run. There's nothing. No one has to do anything special. It's just honestly playing gap sound. Your front four they have to stay very square in their gap, and you can't peek. And that's kind of the thing. When I say peek, I'm saying if say a guy's lined up in a one technique and he's supposed to hold that A gap, if he holds it, and he feels like the running back might be bouncing and he just slides his head to the other side of that guard or center and peeks into that B gap, bam, that the backs are so good now that they're going to hit that thing downhill right back into the A gap where he was peeking. So if you can get everyone on the same page, I think you can stop the run. And for us, and you know, as well as the Buckeyes right now, that's kind of our thing. You can have 10 guys playing it great, but if one guy decides to peek or get a little bit out of position, these backs are just too good these days. They're going to find it.
We're talking with A.J. Hawk here on BTN Live, two-time All-American linebacker at Ohio State. A.J., you mentioned Ryan Shazier a bit earlier in the interview, and Shazier came up with 20 tackles against Indiana. He was the first Buckeye to reach that number since you did it against Wisconsin back in 2004. How good is the memory? Do you remember that game some 9 years ago with the 20 tackles against the Badgers?
I do. I vaguely remember. I don't have a great picture, perfect memory like a lot of my teammates, but I think we lost the game, so it didn't really matter. It was kind of bittersweet, obviously, but yeah, like you said with Shazier, I mean, I think he's kind of the guy that's the future of linebackers, guys that can run and are very athletic, and you watch him too. Even in the Michigan game, he lined up like an outside backer DN sometime, and he's rushing on the tackle, and he does a good job at it. So he's one of those guys that does everything. I think he plays with a lot of heart and a lot of energy too. So I have a lot of respect for guys that play like that.
AJ, let's stay down memory lane. Tell us what you remember about the Michigan State-Ohio State games that you were part of.
Well, Michigan State always was a battle for us, and I always had a lot of respect for them. I was always going head-to-head with Drew Stanton, their quarterback, and I love that guy. I get to see him every once in a while here when we're at different events. But the thing is, when Mark D'Antonio is the head coach, he was my defensive coordinator for 2 years. So I know how intense he is, how great his defenses are, and have so much respect for that guy. I owe a lot to him. He really taught me a lot about the game. But you know what? This game is kind of squaring up to be one for the ages, I think. It's going to be at a supposed neutral site in Indianapolis, and these two teams, man, they're both physical teams that I think you kind of have to respect how they play. And I'm just hoping we can get Carlos Hyde to keep it going like he has, and obviously Braxton making plays all over the place.
AJ, before we let you go, let me ask you about the changing landscape of college football. Obviously, the BCS system was good to you and the Buckeyes in the early 2000s. Next year, we go to this 4-team playoff. Ohio State wouldn't be part of a discussion or controversy this year. They would certainly be locked into a 4-team playoff, but there will be some debate and discussion if both the Buckeyes and Auburn win this weekend along with Florida State. Your thoughts on college football making this change from the BCS to the 4-team playoff starting next year?
Well, I think I am a fan of it, of going to the playoffs, just to kind of give teams a chance to battle it out and figure out who the true champ is. But if you look at it, you can't. If you're a Buckeye fan right now, you can't really complain about the BCS just because it looks like, we don't know for sure, but it looks like if Ohio State wins this Saturday, then they should be into the national title game. We never know. That could obviously go differently for them, but I like that there's going to be a playoff, but there's always going to be controversy just because with 4 teams making the playoffs, think about it, there's 5 and 6 teams are going to be pretty upset that they're not in there, and they're going to feel like they got ripped off in the deal. So I don't think there's ever a perfect system, but I'm glad they're at least trying to make it better, and hopefully it clears up some of this, some of these people kind of arguing and getting upset that they're not into the big game.
Good stuff from A.J. Hawk, giving us the scarlet and gray perspective on Ohio State as the Buckeyes get set to take on Michigan State in the 2013 Big Ten Championship game. A.J., thanks so much for the time, and best of luck rest of this season with the Green Bay Packers.
Thank you very much.